Hi guys, I'm Ryan Houston and welcome to my fly tying channel. This channel contains hundreds of different videos covering all manner of different patterns, techniques and styles of fly tying. There's something here to suit almost everybody, so hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, let's get on with the show. Hi guys, so in the next series of 4 videos what we're going to tie is Carrie Stevens' Grey Ghost. So it's a fairly complicated streamer, and I've tried to do it in more detail than possibly a single video. So we're going to have 4 videos on this and take you through the different stages of tying, from the body to the bellies to the wing supports to the actual wing itself. So stay tuned, check out all 4 videos, and hopefully it'll help you along the way to tie your own classic streamer fly. Okay, so we're tying Carrie Stevens' Grey Ghost here, and what I have in the vise here is a Partridge CS15 Carrie Stevens streamer style hook, and this one happens to be a size 2. So I'm going to start off using a white thread, and that's because we're going to be using a light floss for the body of this, a light orange, and therefore if you intend to get the thing wet you don't want the black showing through it. So as you can see, I'm just taking this down the body in roughly touch and turns if we can, and that's because we're trying to keep everything nice and level where at all possible in this fly. Certainly on the bit that is going to be showing as the body. Now this bit here will be covered by the plates, etc. So it's not as important right up at the head, but certainly as you get further down it is. So I'm just using my thumbnail here to guide me as I slide down the hook. And if you want to be particular, you can actually twist your floss or your tying thread and let it flatten itself out. So, having gone the length of the body, we're going to get some silver tinsel to do the tip or butt or whatever you want to call it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come back to about the point of the hook, and I'm just tying in just on the last little bit of my tinsel. I'm going to take that forward then several wraps. I'm going to take these wraps off whenever I get going. So what I'm doing is I'm wrapping my tinsel backwards, hopefully in touch and turns, and I'm just going to take it slightly around the bend, and then when I get as far as I want to, I'm going to start to travel forward again. And when I come to the front of my tag, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the wraps that held that in to start it, because the tinsel is now tying itself in. And I'm going to come forward 1 wrap over that. And you just want to get a little bit of this tinsel tied in as we go forward. It wants to come underneath with the wrapping of the thread, and that's okay. Now I'm just going to flip this up nick that off under. Now I'm using vintage metal tinsel. You have to be really careful of that, because if it bends or gets a crease in it or gets nicked at all, it will split on you. So next I'm going to take my tinsel, and there's two ways to do this. We can either tie it in the full length of the shank and keep everything smooth, or we can tie it in just at the very back. So I am going to use some wax here, wax a little bit of my thread, and I'm just going to take that nice and tight back until it hits where I want the tag bit to start from. So then I want to take my thread forward, and this is laying an underbody as such for the silk portion of the body. So just make sure that you try and leave as few gaps as possible on the bit of the body that's actually going to be showing, and when you get towards the front you can be, I suppose, less particular. And where do we stop? So this thing's going to have silver pheasant plates on it. It's going to have a head. Now streamer flies tend to have quite long heads, so it's up to yourself on your style that you're going to do. I'm probably a little bit shorter on the heads than what some people do. Some people are quite long, possibly this sort of long, but we're going to have hackles, etc. to come in here. So I would tend to possibly go a little bit further forward than some would, maybe up almost to the return eye of this CS15. But that's, as I said, a personal preference for you. Some people will stop much shorter. Okay, so the body on this is an orange silk. So I'm going to use Japanese. This is actually tippet coloured, this from the Japanese Embroidery Centre. Colour 115 if you want, but so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take out twice the length that I think I need for a single strand, because I'm going to wrap it double stranded. So I probably have 3 feet or so of tinsel, and I'm just blowing away any fluff or whatever that might be laying underneath my vise from previous tie-ins, as the slightest little fibres etc. will get caught in this thing. So what we're going to do is double this thing over so we have it like a loop. I'm going to slide the loop onto my tying thread, and that allows me, as you can see, to slide it down. So it'll slide down onto the shank, and then I tie it in. So to wrap silk, you can do it with your hands bare, or what you can do is use gloves. So there's a couple of different options on this here. They're under gloves. I think they're for scout or band leaders. So you can get these, which are cotton ones. They can leave some fibres behind them, or you can get these ones, which are silk. So black silk gloves. This is obviously overkill if you're intending just to fish these flies, but if you want to tie it full classic show style, then I think protecting the silk from the oils on your hands and also any hacks that might be on them is important. Now, some people will use the rotary function of their vise. I don't. I'm wrapping over. just taking my bobbin up as far as it goes there, because I find that helps keep it out of the road. So as I go over, what's happening here is it's going over the top, and you can see then that it's wrapping across my finger, and then it slides across my finger, and that sort of smooths it out as we go, keeps it in one plane, and helps to keep a little bit of tension on it. So as I slide through, then I swap hands and I pull that back with my left hand. Again, grab with the right and slide over. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but eventually, once you get used to it, you should be able to wrap at decent speed. And as the piece of silk gets shorter, it probably becomes easier. Now you can see that the silk itself has flattened itself out with this motion, and that helps you to get a smoother body. If you want it thicker, what you can do is just shake this back and forward, and what it'll do is it'll trap some fibers, and that helps to widen it out. So we get to the bottom here, I'm just making sure that back wrap is nice and straight, and then I'm flipping it over slightly, and then we progress forward again in either touching, or what, if you want to introduce a little bit of taper to it, you can actually overlap a little bit, but if you're going to overlap, then you're going to need more silk. As it's got shorter, you can see that I've changed the style of it. As it's got shorter, you can see that I've changed the style of the way I'm holding. I'm now pinching between finger and thumb, and that's just because as it's shorter, it's much quicker to throw over. So, as you can see, the long shank bends as you're wrapping, and that can throw off wraps, etc. So you just have to allow a little bit for the bend in it. Now you can see I tied that in and then I flipped it back. And that is just to secure it so it won't fall out. So I'm going to take these off now, these gloves, set them aside, and then I'm going to burnish the body. So I'm using here a dogtooth agate burnisher, and I'm just lightly wrapping along its length there, or sorry, stroking along its length. And what that'll do is it'll just move any little humps into the little troughs beside them and sort of even it out. Don't press too hard as you can break the fibers. And then I'm just going to change to this rocking motion here and just rotate the hook, and that will leave us with a nice smooth silk body. So we're going to wrap it now. Now this is a metal tinsel again, so I just have to be really careful with the first wrap. That's why I sort of folded it over with my thumb. Once I've got it to start to wrap, it's fine, but that initial wrap can snap quite easily on you. So now what we want to do is make sure that we're sort of coming in the same, well, there's two options to this. You either go in the same distance the whole way up the shank, in which case you just follow the angle of the previous wrap, or what I usually do is to make each one slightly further apart as I go, so it sort of progressively lengthens, and that just gives a different perspective to the body. When you're doing that, you just have to allow for the angle to be slightly different each time. Instead of it being more upright, you get more flat lying on the angle. That allows you to stretch it out. Get to the front, wrap across that or two, fold it back, and a few wraps to tie that down. And that is the body of our classic streamer done. So hopefully you liked the video so far. We're going to stop at that, and we'll do the other parts of the fly in steps. So for now, if you like what you've seen, give us a like, subscribe, check out the other videos on the channel. Stay tuned for the rest of this series, and until next time, tight lines. Thanks for watching.